What's up, carnivores? Zach here with American Smoke, and today we're talking about how to make smoked beef tallow for you to use in your cooks, either in the kitchen, in your smoker, any way you want to use it. But smoked beef tallow has a very unique characteristic to it in that it's smoked. You can buy Wagyu beef tallow on Amazon, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. But you can make your own smoked beef tallow from your brisket trimmings, from your rib trimmings, from whatever sort of beef fat that you got. You can just smoke that. Sorry guys, it's a Saturday night and we're out here with our kids. I just trimmed this brisket and we just got a ton of fat. Now, whenever you're trimming this, you can cut it up into little pieces. Some people even grind theirs down. I will cut, some of the larger pieces down to smaller pieces. Over the course of this cook, this stuff is gonna render out like crazy. I have never really found the need to grind it or anything like that. You can spend as much or as little time as you want. You may increase the amount of tallow that you get by grinding it by, 10, 15% or something like that. But overall, just cut it off of your protein, whether it's brisket or beef ribs or whatever, and get it into the smoker and let it sit, and it will render down like crazy. And then you can drain that off and have an awesome finished product that you can use for a lot of things. We're gonna go ahead, cut this up just a little bit more, get it into the smoker, and it's gonna take several hours to render all of this down because this is like a huge amount of beef fat. We're gonna go ahead and get this into the smoker, let it start rendering, and I expect to be able to harvest a very large amount of beef tallow at the end of this cook that I can use for various things. We will also be bathing this particular brisket in some of this beef tallow, and we will be using that to keep it nice and moist once it gets wrapped in a foil boat. So that's something that you can do with your tallow. I was talking to somebody on my Facebook group, American Smoke Carnivores. Y'all should check it out. Also, smash the like button for me and subscribe to the channel. But I was talking to one of my followers on my Facebook group, and they said that they trimmed a brisket and they fed it to their dogs. Hopefully that's a mistake that you only make once, like how this mosquito just made its last mistake. I want to show you how to use this, how to store it, how to keep it, and how to get some good use of it after the cook. Because you pay for this, get its value out of it by using it, by getting it, and by having it for your use. It's been a long day and I don't even know if that made any sense. You want to get your money's worth. Let's just put it that way. The smoker's up to temp. Let's go ahead and get this cut up brisket fat into the smoker to make some delicious smoked tallow. We're just gonna be setting this off to the side right here. That way it can smoke right along the side of the brisket. Okay, so our tallow has been in the smoker for about 12 hours now and has rendered down wonderfully. Let's get into the smoker and have a look. We have been able to extract just a ton of tallow out of this fat. It is sort of crackling up a good bit. I do think that I could cook this more and get some more tallow out of it, and I probably will. But right now, we are letting our smoker come down to temp of about 160 degrees so that we can use it as a warming chamber for the brisket that we cooked, that all this fat came from. For those of you that were wondering, we did weigh. We've got two of these dishes and we weighed it and it weighed 6 pounds. And so therefore, we cut off 7 pounds of fat off of this brisket. And if you're throwing that away, you need to let that be the last time you make that mistake. What we're gonna do is, I'm just gonna take a little bit of this, just a little bit of this beautifully clear, fresh, smoked tallow, and we're gonna put it over the top of my brisket just to make it even better, because how are you gonna make it worse by adding tallow over the top of brisket? And we're gonna go ahead and drain most of this off into a jar and let it cool, and then I'll be taking this and putting it in the oven and rendering the rest of the tallow out of it. And really all you have to do here is just dip it out with your little measuring cup and pour it in there. Some people will say that you need to have like a paper towel or a cheesecloth or something like that, but I have not found that to be necessary in my tallow making adventures. It can sit on the counter for a long time. If I'm not mistaken, it can stay good in the refrigerator for up to a year. I think you've got like 6 weeks on the counter and a year in the refrigerator. For me, most of the time, whether it's on the counter or whether it's in the refrigerator, I'm just gonna use it until it's gone, you know, because I ain't throwing it away. I ain't about that life. So as you can see, we've managed to get 2 pretty full jars, few quarts, which equates to about 30 bucks worth of beef tallow from an $80 brisket. And if you come and look at this fat, you'll see why I'm gonna put it back in the oven. So we've still got lots of large chunks of still very gelatinous, very fatty steel pieces. Now pieces like this and this, they got hotter. The pieces, especially that were around the edges, that fried a little bit more, those are not gonna have a whole lot more tallow to render out, but a lot of this is, I expect to maybe get a whole nother jar this size out of this after it spends an hour or two in the oven at around 300. This doesn't render quite as fast when I'm cooking it at 225 the way I cook this brisket. So for those of you that are thinking, man, I'm just gonna throw the fat away, well, you could have tallow if you don't. And for those of you that are thinking, I'm just gonna not trim that brisket, fat's flavor, who cares? Well, it's a lot of daggone fat, okay? It's a lot, and there's still a lot on this brisket. You can either have tallow and have brisket, or you can have brisket and have fat in the garbage, or feed it to your dogs, or whatever. Or, you know, you can just, you know, have all this on your brisket that somebody has to figure out how to chew through or move off to the side of the plate or something, because let me tell you something. Ain't nobody wanting to eat no piece of fat that big. Nobody. I will lick my fingers, though. Smoked tallow is delicious. No seasoning, just the smoke flavor and the beefy flavor, and it's awesome. So we're gonna get this up into the oven and let it cook on down. You can also do this in a crock pot, cook it in the oven, however you wanna do it. So we ended up putting these beef cracklings, beef fat from our brisket back into the oven at 275 degrees for another 2.5, 3 hours, something like that. We stirred it about every 30 to 45 minutes. What you end up with is these little beef cracklings, which, you know, you could salt and eat or something like that, but I have yet to find something that I really want to use those for, but I'm sure there's someone that'll watch this that'll make some good recommendations. If nothing else, fantastic dog treats. They may not have got it right when you cut it off the brisket, but if they get it now, I promise you they're gonna be more than happy. We did get almost a whole nother jar out of it, so we got all of this beef tallow off of that brisket, and that way none of it's gonna go to waste. We're gonna be living good in the beef tallow world. Thanks for watching. Smoke on, and I'll see y'all in the next video.